Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. As you may know, I am currently working my way through a copy of Warhammer Quest Cursed City, painting all of the miniatures using the new Army Painter Speedpaints range. And everything I've put on the channel so far, I've pretty much been happy with the results that I've got from the Army Painter Speedpaints, but I didn't want to give people the impression that things never go wrong with these speed paints or that you always get results you're happy with. So in this video we're going to take a look at some experiments I did with mixing Army Painter paints and applying them to one of my Anima Tactics miniatures. Anima Tactics is an out of production tabletop skirmish game and the miniatures are metal, so this is my first attempt at using speed paints on a metal miniature. And I'm just going to talk through the various different things I did to this miniature and why I wasn't happy with the result. As normal, I have started with an undercoat of Army Painter matte white spray, and then I have used lead belcher on the ninja's weapons. The ninja has these spiky knuckle duster things. I'm sure there's probably some medieval term for them that I do not know, but they're pretty gruesome looking weapons. So I'm starting by undercoating those with lead belcher. This is something that I've done numerous times on other miniatures. By putting down a metallic base coat and then applying speed paints over the top, you can get some nice different effects. And it's actually a process I used to do with Citadel washes. With that done, I need to move on to painting the skin. This particular character in Anima Tactics is a dark skinned character. There isn't really a dark skin tone in the Army Painter Speedpaint range, so I'm going to mix some Crusader skin with some dark wood and just see what happens. I guess I could just have used the dark wood colour, but I think that probably would have just looked like dark wood. So I've used a mix here which is 2 parts dark wood to 1 part Crusader skin. And I'm going to apply it to all of the skin areas on the miniature, and that's not actually too much. That's the hands, the arms, and a very small amount of the face. The rest of the face is wrapped with a mask. And as always with the Army Painter Speedpaints range, I'm being as careful as I can. You can correct overspills by overpainting the Army Painter Speedpaints with matte white, but it's easier if you can avoid having to do that as much as possible. So I'm very carefully just applying this to the skin area. And as I'm putting it on, I can see it's already pulling away from the raised details of the skin, and I'm already thinking I might need to apply a second coat. Next I'm going to move on to Gravelord Grey, and I'm just going to apply this to the hair on the miniature. There's a small amount of flowing hair. And I think Gravelord Grey over the matte white always looks good. I've used it quite a bit for hair on different miniatures, and I think it always gives a nice finish. But again, there's not actually a lot of hair on this miniature. Most of the miniature is the billowing cloak, which is actually a very cool effect, and it's a really nice dynamic miniature, even though the ninja is standing perfectly still. And talking of the cloak, that's what I'm going to paint now, and I'm going to mix Hive Dweller Purple with Grim Black. And the reason I've done this is because I wanted to get a purple hue in the black cloak. So this is 2 parts Grim Black to 1 part Hive Dweller Purple, and as it's going onto the cloak, I'm quite happy with that tone. It's quite nice, and I would say that overall on this particular miniature, the cloak was the thing that I was happiest with. But this colour is going to go all over the cloak, it's going to go all over the legs, and it's even going to go over the weapons on the hands. Because really I didn't want a lot of colour on this miniature, I wanted it to look like a figure stepping out of shadows, stepping out of the darkness. So really I'm very much relying on this Grim Black and Purple mix. But of course the miniature is standing on a base, he's standing on a large pillar, so I'm going to mix some Gravelord Grey with Holy White, just to lighten up the Gravelord Grey and just to see what it would look like with those 2 colours mixed together. And I'm going to apply this over the pillar, and overall I think I would have preferred this if I had just used Holy White for more of a white pillar, or actually used the Gravelord Grey Neat for more of a grey pillar. This halfway between the two I'm not keen on. Oh, and by the way, this is actually a resin scenic element that I've added to the base, it's not part of the miniature. But with this base done, we're finished with the speed painting, and as I look at the miniature all done, I'm not happy with it. I wasn't overly happy with the colour of the base, but I didn't change that. But the skin is very blotchy and patchy, And even though the cloak isn't too bad, I think the purple and grim black mix on everything else is a bit patchy as well. I'm wondering whether this is either not having mixed the paints thoroughly enough, or probably more likely the fact that I am painting a metal miniature. Metal miniatures quite frequently have a rougher texture than plastic miniatures or resin miniatures, and I'm wondering if that roughness on the texture of the miniature has made it difficult for the speed paints to do what they do best. Regardless, I think this is a very blotchy, patchy finish, so on the skin I'm just going to use some Gorthor Brown, and I'm going to layer that up directly over the speed paints, and then I used some Army Painter Purple just to bring out some highlights on the cloak as well. But there we go. I don't know how interesting this is for people, but I thought people might appreciate seeing one of my efforts that didn't turn out quite as well as some of my Cursed City stuff has. And that's it for me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you've really enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.